Very good morning, students. Since last class, we started consumer price index number, and in that, two methods of solving problems also we had seen. First one was based on aggregative expenditure method. Second one is based on family budget method. Now in this video, we shall concentrate on the theoretical aspects based on consumer price index number. That means method of construction of consumer price index number. This is very important question, students. Based on 5 mark you are going to receive in your question paper. In this video, I concentrate on mainly two such questions of 5 marks. One is steps for construction of consumer price index number. Another one is steps for construction of index number. Whenever we are telling consumer price index number, we may have to specify it that it is consumer price index number. But whenever index number we are telling, it's nothing but a general price index number to us. And also we shall concentrate in this video the remaining few theoretical aspects based on index number chapter, and we shall complete the chapter index number. So let us get into first steps for construction of consumer price index number. So these are the steps involved in the construction of consumer price index number. First one is defining purpose and scope. Second one is conducting family budget inquiry. Third one is obtaining price quotations. Then the fourth is computing the index numbers. Computing the index numbers in the sense it is consumer price index numbers. So let us discuss these four methods in brief, how we need to write answer as 5 marks answer. First method in it, I mean to tell, first step in construction of consumer price index number, it is nothing but defining purpose and scope. For what exactly we are in need of constructing the index number, I mean to tell consumer price index number, and what is the scope for it, what is the intention behind, which group is under our study. All such aspects may have to be defined before constructing index numbers. So defining the purpose and scope is first step. First of all, the purpose of index number must be clearly defined. We should know for what purpose the index number is being calculated or constructed. It is very essential to decide clearly the class of people for whom index number is to be constructed along with the geographical area. To which group specifically we consider that consumer price index number which is being constructed, and which geographical area, which area we are considering, which frame we are considering for the construction of index number has to be very clearly defined first. This is the base first step in constructing consumer price index number. Next step, conducting family budget inquiry and selecting the weights. Once after getting the main idea on which people you are considering the data to be collected and the consumer price index number to be constructed and the geographical area. After confirming those many aspects, next thing comes conducting family budget inquiry and selecting the weights. We need to visit the families and their budget inquiry has to be done. That is what is the meaning. And selecting the weights. Which weights have to be applied, we may have to select and finalize. Because in terms of aggregative expenditure method, Q0 will be the weight applied. But in case of family budget method, different self-defined observed weights will be there for various items. That's why, selecting weights also is very much essential. So let us see. Here, some families are chosen at random and the money spent on various items are collected. Some families randomly we may have to choose and collect the information about their family budget. Items are classified according to food, clothing, fuel, lighting, house rent and miscellaneous. We are constructing consumer price index number or cost of living index number. These are the very essential for any person to live with their families. Food is essential, clothing is essential, fuel, lighting, house rent and miscellaneous. So these aspects, these items are to be considered. Every family to be asked the budget with what weight they will spend on these items. And after that, here the enquiry is conducted on random basis. It should not be biased. It should be an unbiased. We should not specify these are the few families we will be taking into consideration. In that case, we will be knowing the budget of their families. Known families should be avoided and randomly the families have to be chosen. Then only it can be an unbiased study. So that here the inquiry is conducted on the random basis during the period of economic stability. Economically, the time or the year should be stable. Any natural calamities or any unexpected things must not have had happened in that particular time. Such a time to be fixed for the study. For example, this year 2020 cannot be considered as economically stable year. Because of corona pandemic, the year is considered globally, unstable economic year. So such things should not be observed in any year. Such year we may have to observe and conduct the family budget inquiry. Because of all these natural calamities or any such pandemics, there will be huge difference in their budgets. It will be altered the usual pattern. That's why such period should not be used for conducting family budget inquiry. Thus, the family budget inquiry gives us the average budget of that class, whichever the class of people we have used for our study. Family budget, when we conduct the inquiry, we will get an average budget of that particular class of people. So first one is defining the purpose and the scope is over. After that, conducting family budget inquiry is over. And the selection of weights also have to be finalized. And after that, the third step, obtaining price quotations. While constructing cost of living index number, retail prices of different commodities are to be collected. That means we will consider retail prices in order to collect the price quotations, not wholesale prices. Collection of retail price is very difficult task and they vary from one place to other place and even at one place from shop to shop, and even at one shop from customer to customer. So it is very difficult task obtaining retail prices. Therefore, what we do, therefore, price quotations should be obtained from different localities. We are obtaining it from different areas and then averaged. These averages are made use in the construction of index numbers. That means consumer price index numbers. So 3 steps are already over in the method of construction of consumer price index number. And the last one is computing the index numbers. I mean to tell, computing the cost of living index numbers or consumer price index numbers. We know already there are 2 methods of computing consumer price index number, and they are aggregative expenditure method as well as family budget method. Already we have solved the problems based on it, so we will be knowing about these 2 formulas also. So right from defining the purpose and the scope till computing the index numbers, we may have to write as the answer for 5 marks if the question is briefly explain the steps of construction of consumer price index number. Hope you are getting me, students. An easier one, but usually the students will get confused with the question asked. Sometimes it will be given briefly explain the procedure of construction of consumer price index number. Sometimes it will be given briefly explain the steps of construction of index numbers. We have to carefully see whether it is given in the question as consumer price index number or just index number. If consumer price index number is given, that is what we discussed now, the same way the answer has to be written. In case of just index number, if it is asked, what is the constructional procedure we shall observe now? Steps in the construction of index numbers. Sometimes it will be asked, or else points to be remembered while constructing index numbers, it will be asked. Or sometimes problems in the construction of index numbers. In any ways the question may be asked, the answer will be same, that how we will discuss now. Hope you are getting me clearly, students. Previously what we have seen, steps in the construction of consumer price index number or cost of living index number. But now we are concentrating steps in the construction of just index numbers. So here also defining or stating the purpose of the index number has to happen first. And after that, selection of base period, which base period we will be considering. And after that, selection of commodities or items, which are the commodities to be included. For example, lighting, house rent, miscellaneous, food, cloth, what we discussed. In that way, selection of commodities or items. And then next, how we have obtained the price quotation in terms of consumer price index number. Here also obtaining the price quotations. And after that, choice of an average, whether we will be applying arithmetic mean or geometric mean, because many index numbers we have studied already. Many, various index numbers will have their own nature. Sometimes an average will be used based on arithmetic mean. Sometimes an average will be used based on geometric mean. So which average to be applied, that choice has to happen. and after that selection of weights, and then later selection of suitable formula. Various number of formulas are available with us. Which is the suitable formula for given data we may have to observe and apply. These are what the constructional procedures or the points to be remembered while constructing index number. Sometimes it will be asked to mention the points. At that time, no need to explain, students. Only by mentioning these headings will be sufficient. But if it is asked, briefly explain, then you may have to explain each of these points with respect to their significance. In the previous slide, we have seen selection of base period, isn't it? Then, which are the points to be considered while selecting the base period? This is very important 2-mark question, students. Most of the times it has appeared in the final examination. Mention the points to be considered while selecting base period or base year. So first point to be considered, the base period should be economically stable. Already I have told you in the constructional procedure that base period which we are seeing or which we are selecting, it should be economically stable. That is, the period which should be free from wars, floods, famines, or any natural calamities, or any big breakthrough in terms of economic shouldn't have had happened. Such period has to be observed as base period. This is one of the points to be considered. Next, the base period should not be too distant from the given period. Given period in the sense current period or current year. With which year we are comparing, that will be called as base period anyhow. For which comparison is required, it will be called as given period or a current period. While selecting base period, we should see to it that much and much more difference is there between the now ongoing current year to the base period. Base period should not be too distant from the given period. Then next, depending upon the situation, the base period is either fixed base period or chain base period. Depending upon the situation, we have to see whether to apply fixed base period or a chain base system we need to consider. What are these fixed base and chain base? We shall see in the next slide. Fixed base period and chain base period. As the name itself tells, students, it is nothing but fixed base. One base is fixed for many current years. One of the problems we had come across in the previous videos, for 2005 and 2010, index number we are calculating as the base year 2000, for example. For 2005 as well as 2010, base period is being kept as 2000 itself. It is fixed. That is what will be called as fixed base period. Chain base period in the sense shiftability of base period we had observed. See, we have discussed that previously in our videos. The same concept will be in terms of chain base period. In chain system, base periods goes on changing. That will be called as chain base period. What is the definition of these? We shall consider now. While calculating index numbers, if the base period of comparison is kept fixed for all the current years, then it is called as fixed base period. If at all, while considering or calculating index numbers for any period are compared with that of immediate preceding period, then it will be called as chain base period. For example, I said 2000, 2005 and 2010. When for 2005 it is being calculated, preceding 2000 year can be considered as a base period. When you are conducting or calculating index number for 2010, preceding one 2005 can be considered as the base period. That system of base period will be referred to as chain base period. This is also very important question, students. It may be asked, what do you mean by fixed base period? What do you mean by chain base period? All the theoretical aspects whichever we have discussed for 1 mark, 5 mark and all those are very, very important. Which question will be asked in terms of examination cannot be said like specifically. So concentrate on every aspects properly and understand. Next, we shall consider characteristics of index numbers. Uses we have seen, limitations we have seen. Now, major characteristics of index number we shall see and complete the chapter index number. Index numbers are specialized type of averages. Averaging only is being done here, but it is a special kind of or special type of averages which are expressed in terms of percentages. Relative changes have been observed and percentage it will be expressed. Index numbers are always expressed in ratios, but for comparison purpose they are expressed in terms of percentages. This is known fact to us. This is another characteristics. Then index numbers study the effect of factors that cannot be measured directly. By on-site, it will not be properly observed the changes what have taken place. Such effect, effect of factors that cannot be measured so directly can be observed or studied using index numbers. Obviously, after having had all these characteristics, will it not permit us to have comparison between two index numbers, two periods or anything of that kind? Yes, it facilitates the comparison. This is one more and the last characteristics of index number. So here it completes the chapter index number, students. This chapter is having very much high significance in terms of examination. So please study properly, practice well. Once when you have enough practice and proper attempt in practicing, the chapter is not at all difficult. It can be managed very well and which will help even in scoring examination. In the examination, more of more than 25 to 26 marks you will be able to get from this particular chapter. That's why study properly, students. Take care of your health, take care of your studies. Have a nice time. Thank you so much. All the best.